my series of videos on math education, how to learn math. The first one, and this is going to be a repeating theme, why making mistakes is good. Now everybody has this attitude nowadays, more now than ever, that, oh, I might make a mistake. Now, you don't want to be making mistakes on your math test when it counts. You don't want to have to be taking the class over again, okay? But guess what? The only way you're going to learn is by making mistakes. What's the first thing you learn if you study ice skating or karate? How to fall down, okay? Same thing in math. You're going to make mistakes. Now, why are we making mistakes? And why is that a good thing? Well, guess what you're doing when you're making a mistake? Whenever you're making a mistake, aren't you trying out a theory? You don't know how it works, do you? You see all this math, and it's a mystery to you. You would like to see how it works. So you're going to try things out, and that's exactly what you're doing when you're making mistakes. Now let's make a mistake. Here's a problem from algebra, and let's say we think we can simplify it. Turns out we can't simplify it, but let's pretend we're going to try. Okay. Now, you might have the idea, well, let's see, stuff cancels out in fractions, right? Well, let's try canceling out the x's, and maybe this x cancels that x, and what's going to be left in the top? We can't have a fraction without a top, so we'll put a 1 up there, right? And in the bottom, maybe we'll just have 1 over y. So we'll just say it's equal to that. Well, now isn't that a theory? You just came up, if you did it that way, with a theory of how these things work. Is the theory right or wrong? Well, test it out. How would we test it out? Well, why do we write x or y? Because we don't know what the number is, right? If we knew it was 7, we would write 7. Okay? Instead, we're writing x and y. So, presumably, they could be practically any number. So let's try it out. Let's get rid of what we did here. In fact, what we'll do is we'll say x over x plus y equals 1 over y. I'm going to put a question mark there. That's a good thing to do. Put a question mark there. It denotes, are they equal, as opposed to saying, yes, they're equal. Okay, well, let's try out some numbers. Let's let x equal 2 and y could equal 1. Any reason they couldn't? I can't think of any reason why they couldn't be those numbers, so we'll try them out. Okay, well, let's stick in, wherever we see an x, we'll put a 2 in there. 2 over 2 plus 1. So we went from that to that by putting a 2 in wherever we see an x, and a 1 in wherever we see a y. Now let's do the same over here. Well, there's no place to put an x in here anymore, right? Because we simplified it according to our theory of how we can simplify these things. So what do we have to do? Oh, we'll just put in 1 over 1, which is just 1, right? So what do we end up with? 2 over 3 is equal to 1. Is that true? No. Then what's that say about our theory? It doesn't work. Okay, so that means we have to go back to the drawing board. We'll come up with a new theory about how things work. Okay, and eventually we'll keep eliminating enough wrong theories that we will get to it. Now, you're going to do this in the process of, hopefully, while you're doing your homework. You don't want to be learning like this while you're taking the test. But, yeah, that's why, how do you learn math? The same way I learned it. Supposedly I was good at it, but I had to do an awful lot of homework to get good at it. So, and I did the same thing right here. I would test out theories about how these things work, plug in some numbers to test the theory, and keep eliminating wrong theories until finally I would get it. Finally I would go back to the teacher and say, okay, I don't understand it. How does this really work? And finally my brain was ready to accept the explanation. So that's just one example of how we can use mistakes to learn. There'll be more videos in this series as we come up with more stuff to discuss. But till then, thanks for watching.